Hello everyone, this is Mr. D. Crescendi, Double D. I'm going to be presenting to you today one of two screencasts regarding our new unit of study called the New Imperialism 1800 through 1914. The first screencast that I'm going to go over involves the information I shared with you on Tuesday regarding the causes of the new imperialism. So what I ask of you as you listen to this screencast is to take careful note of it, of the information that I discuss, because on Tuesday what I'll be doing is I'll be throwing some questions into Google Classroom about it. And we started this new unit of study by looking at this one cartoon that I'm going to bring up for you. A cartoon that appeared in a 1906 British publication, and I asked a couple of questions about this cartoon. What might the snake represent? Why would it have a human head? Who is it coiling around? What do you think it means? And what it represents, in essence, are the actions of one person known in history as Leopold II of Belgium. And he organized a company to go into the interior of Africa, the Congo. It was actually known as the Congo Free State, ironically. And what eventually happens is that reports start to come back of the atrocities that were taking place there. The Europeans with the native people, and this cartoon represents this snake wrapped around this native person. It's a rubber snake because that was what the Congo had in plenty of. So what it eventually leads to is the Belgian government actually taking over formal administration of the Congo in 1908 because of the atrocities that were taking place in the Congo regarding the harvesting of rubber being taken from a rubber tree. Now, I believe we ended Tuesday's class by looking at one technological advancement, and that is the Maxim machine gun. This machine gun started to be used by the British Army in 1889, and it could fire 500 rounds per minute. It was invented by Hiram Maxim, and the Europeans are going to use it to their advantage in conquering parts of the world, such as Africa, during this time. Well, we also talk about, in an introduction to this new imperialism, 1800 through 1914, is a man known in history as David Livingstone. He was from Scotland. He was a missionary doctor. He goes to Africa, explores parts of it, gets mauled by a lion and survives, develops malaria. But what Livingstone does is that through his travels into Africa as he maps it, and the Europeans at the time referred to Africa as the Dark Continent. The reason why they referred to Africa as the Dark Continent because they did not know what was inside of it, the interior. All they knew was the outer edges through trade, through different ports. They didn't know what was inside of Africa, when you think about it, is 3 times the size of the United States of America. But it's through the efforts of Livingstone, as well as a man known in history as Mungo Park, who start to go into the interior of Africa and start to identify what is there. Now, what also drives the Europeans are certain ideological motives. A desire to civilize non-Europeans is going to lead to imperialism. You have a man down here known in history as Herbert Spencer, who develops the phrase survival of the fittest. The idea is that Europeans are going to feel that they're far more superior than non-Europeans. And what is also going to go into their thought process is the work of Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, which you have probably heard more about. And it's going to basically combine into this idea of social Darwinism, where the Europeans felt it was their duty to civilize non-Europeans, and they're going to look down on non-Europeans. They're going to feel that they're less than them. And what is also going to be reflected in that is a poem that's going to be written by Rudyard Kipling called The White Man's Burden. The burden of the white man to civilize non-Europeans. And you look closely at this poem, you could see some of these ideas present there. You can also see how the Europeans viewed non-Europeans. The idea half devil, half child, outrageous. This idea of the white man's burden also appeared in children's books and even in advertisements of the time period, Pears soap. Again, the idea that the Europeans felt that it was their responsibility, their calling to civilize non-Europeans who they felt was less than them. Now, if we look at another motive here, which you saw when you did your timelines on the unification of Italy and Germany, the idea of nationalism, where in the 19th century or the 1800s, you start to see a change, where people's allegiance is not to a monarch necessarily, but rather to their country, the role of the common people. And what you have is you have a number of unification movements, as you see here in this image of Giuseppe Garibaldi, who was instrumental in the unification of Italy in the 1800s. And you also have, as part of nationalism, this idea of militarism, having pride in your nation's military. And we're going to learn more about this term militarism when we get into World War I and the causes of it. And what you can also see here is a map regarding German unification, the stages involved in it. And the one person that you read about and learned regarding German unification was Otto von Bismarck, who was of Prussian descent, becomes the prime minister, really single-handedly leads this effort to unify Germany in the second half of the 1800s. And what Bismarck also does is that he pushes a united Germany toward a policy of industrialization. And that's something that's going to come up as well when we look at World War I. So what I'd ask of you at this point, again, is to review the information that I just discussed with you regarding these causes of the new imperialism. On Tuesday, I'll be putting some questions into the classroom regarding it. If you have any questions on this screencast, this first one of 2, please feel free to email me or see me tomorrow during office hours. Thank you.